All right. Well, we should probably start talking about altered states, but before we do that, of course, we need to, get to our newish segment, movie recommendations. But since John is here, there's a popular segment. They used to be on their show called Whip Out Your Junk, in which you
Yeah.
share recently purchased physical media. Still a thing on their Discord, but Brett kind of mentioned earlier, I should probably divulge that I do have in 4K Ultra HD the Crying Game Criterion Collection.
So
I
so
did.
when you watch that, does it still fool you that it's not a dude?
Well, I haven't. No, I haven't watched it again yet. I haven't seen it since. Say, it would have been HD because I streamed it off of something
How many times have you seen it?
just once. A little over a year ago, I bought the DVD because you could only get an import Blu-ray, and even
Uh-huh.
that was kind of rare now. So I finally bit the bullet. It was only $10. I bit the bullet and bought it.
Hmm.
And right away, when I got it, I borrowed it to my friend Alex Jones,
Hmm.
former co-host of the show, and he has yet to watch it. He's had it for over a year. And so now I can just say, you know what? You can keep the crying game because he doesn't know what the surprise is. He has no
Oh, okay.
idea. So I'm very interested to get his
Boy,
reaction
boy,
to
is he in for a surprise.
it.
I don't even know what it is. I've never seen it, but it's just,
So I thought, if we're gonna whip out our junk, what better junk to whip out than the crying game?
oh yeah, talk about whip out junk. They could have just called the movie that. Probably would have made more money.
Barnes and Noble's their marketing ploy worked because I did buy something else. I bought this Choose Me,
Oh yeah.
which I've never seen,
I used to
but
watch it on Cinemax in the 80s.
I'm intrigued though. I don't think I've seen one film from director Alan Rudolph, but apparently he was a big deal in the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, he
He's
was
well
he was the
thought
big
of.
auteur. He's
Yeah.
the new Altman,
Okay.
they thought.
It says it's an achingly romantic neon dream, which, hey, there we go. 80s neon. Says it's got a good soundtrack. It's got Keith Carradine. I'm in. I'm sold.
It's
So
very 80s.
we'll
That's
see.
what I remember.
That's good enough for me.
Mhm.
But yeah, Barnes and Noble, what the fuck? Like they don't have new releases at all their stores? She was telling me, like, I went into one yesterday. I scoured their whole collection. I'm like, where's the Crying Game? It came out yesterday. Oh, we didn't get that. I was like, what do you mean you didn't get it? Well, different stores get different releases. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You guys are the exclusive seller of the Criterion collection. You got 300 releases over here of Criterion, and you don't have this new release. They have four a month. How hard is it to get the new releases? It's like, imagine going to Sam Goody in 2000 and be like, can I have the Marshall Mathers LP? No, we don't carry it at this one. You got to go across town to the other Sam Goody. They have it there.
You have to go across the mall to the other one.
Yeah, across the ball.
There used to be two Sam Goodies at the Mall of America at the
Mhm.
same time.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I assume they're just, because of the sale, I think they're just banking on the fact that, well, you're here and the sale's going on, so you're going to buy something and then you'll come back later or go somewhere else to one of the other locations across town to purchase the Crying Game. And the customer support on Twitter was like, "Well, we can you can order it online." I'm like, "What? It defeats the whole purpose. I want to see movies in real life in your store."
You want to pay the sales tax, the local support your local labor, your
Hmm.
service industry labor.
There you go. All right. Well, all that to say, my junk is secure. Everyone can rest easy. I have the Crying Game on 4K Ultra HD, so y'all can quit worrying about me.
I
Barnes and
remember
Noble, you're
Rush
not off the
Limbaugh
hook.
ranting about that movie.
What's that?
I said I remember Rush Limbaugh ranting about that movie because it came out when I was in college, and he was like, he had his daily TV show back then, which Johnny Ramone and Vincent Gallo were in the audience, like apparently every show, but the cameras completely avoided them and never showed them off. And he would be like, "They think they're fooling you. It's obvious. It's a dude."
You made a comment on Twitter the other day, John, about somebody you knew in college who said that it was the Crying Game was going to be better remembered than Jurassic Park.
Yeah, yeah.
And I posted a picture of Anthony Rapp from Road Trip saying, "Is it this guy?" Because he looks just like Mulder.
And I clarified, I would never say that the Crying Game would be better remembered than Jurassic Park. I said it's better than Jurassic Park, not better remembered.
But yeah, I was like, I remember when that came out, I just like, oh, that's a William Castle movie. It's the same old gimmick. And it's like, and you know, the Weinsteins back then, they bought a lot of hype. Like they had paid for shills and everything. And of course,
Mhm.
all critics love anything that implies, you know, anything with gay themes, like you know, or coded gay was going to get like high raves back then.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you watch something, you know, there's you know, working class is Jurassic Park when you should be seeing this high level entertainment or whatever.
That was Miramax. That was the Miramax business model in the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was like it was just like The English Patient had that effect a couple of years later, and you know, a bunch of people went to see that and probably again asked themselves, why did I go see that? You know, it was the Miramax promotion model at work. Worked for Train Spotting. They kept Clerks in theaters for like a year, I think, with that sort of thing. So, you know,
I do
they had good marketing people back then. I have to admit that.
I do think it's funny. The Simpsons had a joke that spoiled the Crying Game like less than a year after it came out. There's an
Well, so
episode
did Ace
where
Ventura.
yeah, but there was an episode of The Simpsons where I think Marge gets arrested for like shoplifting or something, and there's a scene where Mayor Quimby is giving a speech, and he goes, the chick from the Crying Game is a guy." And everybody starts booing, and he's like, I mean, the Crying Game's a really good movie.
Ace Ventura never ruined it for me because when the song, first of all, the song, the Boy George song, doesn't come on in the Crying Game until the end credits.
Uh-huh.
I think there's three different iterations of it throughout the movie, but in Ace Ventura, when that scene happens, I remember I think my parents or somebody telling me, "Oh, this is from the Crying Game." Of course, I'd never seen it, and it's when they said it, he was like jumping into the shower, you know, trying to wash the shame away.
Yeah.
And I took that to mean that like someone had been raped and they were taking a shower, you know, trying
Oh,
to process their trauma and whatnot. So I was when I watched the Crime Gang, I was expecting some sort of a rape. Like, I thought this was like something akin to The Accused, the sex comedy The Accused.
uh-huh.
And so I
I mean,
was very surprised. I mean,
there is kind of a rape in there
well,
under new definitions.
under new definitions, under false pretenses. But I mean, throughout the first half, I was kind of like, I don't know, there's something different about about this woman named Dill. But
Dill pickle.
it
It was a tell.
was staring me right in the face. I was laughing so hard writing those tweets the other day because I actually got Barnes and Noble to reply to my not so subtle references to the surprise of the Crying Game. Just putting all these the colorful language, like was feverishly trying to get my hands around it, and they're just dangling it in front of my face only to take it back at the last second, equating my shopping experience to Stephen Ray's surprise. All right, well, let's get this show on the road. Movie recommendations, I guess I'll start first. Watched this for the first time the other night. Prime Cut
Uh,
from 1972, starring Lee Marvin, a 47-year-old Lee Marvin who looks 62.
I would say he looks 72 in today's world.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman and Sissy Spacek. So Gene Hackman plays, I think, a Kansas City crime boss. Lee Marvin is kind of an underworld power broker, a fixer, an enforcer, maybe a freelance enforcer, who's hired by the Chicago mob to get Gene Hackman to pay up. He owes him a bunch of money. He thinks the Chicago mob is over and done with. He doesn't really need to even worry about it. Lee Marvin has other ideas. So right from the jump, this movie's fantastic. The first act had me. It starts off in a meat packing plant because that's Gene Hackman's character owns a slaughterhouse. He sells flesh, sells meat, and he sells women, and he stores them the same way, literally, which is hilarious. Sissy Spacek is part of the flesh that he sells. So she comes into it. When I first saw her, you get to see a lot of Sissy Spacek in here. I was thinking, how old is she? This is 4 years before Carrie. She was already 21 or 22 at this time. So I guess she's 26, 27 in Carrie, something like that.
Yeah, had she come along today, she would have had an OnlyFans for the more sicker consumers of that product.
Great performances in here. Lee Marvin is ultra cool. Gene Hackman's really hamming it up. Some good action. I guess for me, it kind of tailed off towards the end. Like the first act, I say is 5 stars. Second act is 4, and third act is probably 3.5. But can't go wrong. Very entertaining. I would definitely recommend you check out Prime Cut. I don't know if I think I've seen it streaming on Prime before. I'm not sure if it's streaming right now, but this is the Kino Lorber release. I'm sure they still have it. They might have re-released it in 4K. I'm not sure.
Which means it'll be on Tubi eventually.
Sure.
Because Kino transfers tend to show up on Tubi like 6-8 months after the
Mhm.
latest release.
Sure. All right. Brett, why don't you take it?
Yeah. My recommendation is the 1931 Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, starring Frederick March. My nieces were in town. My teenage nieces were in town recently, and I handed the older one a stack of maybe 10 movies to watch, and she said, let's watch Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I've never seen it, but our school did a play on it recently, and I'm curious about it. I love the movie. I don't know how well they liked it. I got the feeling that maybe they didn't love it, but I didn't get a lot of complaints, and they sat through the whole thing, so that might be a win there. I love it. It's pre-Hays Code, so it gets a little risque. There's some sexual situations in there. There's an implied rape in there. There's murder and lots of Mr. Hyde antics. Technically, it's fucking amazing. I think, especially for 1931, there's a lot of first person point of view shots. It starts with a first person POV shot of somebody playing an organ, which, I mean, if you think about the cameras in 1931, like that's pretty impressive. And then there's multiple shots where the first person POV is of a person walking to a mirror and looking at their reflection and doing stuff in the reflection, which has to be like a technical marvel from that time, in my opinion. There's also some great scenes of Dr. Jekyll transforming into Mr. Hyde, which is a fantastic special effect. Clearly all practical. The makeup is fun on Mr. Hyde. I thought Frederick March was great in the dual role.
He won the Oscar.
Good. He deserved it.
Yeah, he did. It's unique for being like it was the first horror movie performance Oscar, I believe, in history.
I thought Sinners was like the first.
Yeah, no. I got news for you. A little bit of a publicity work there. They're working the marks with Sinners.
Nobody considered horror movies for the Oscars until Toni Collette was in Hereditary.
It was funny that for 25 or so years, Silence of the Lambs was the horror movie that won everything. And then like Hereditary and Sinners came out and they're like, well, Silence of the Lambs isn't really horror.
Not really a horror movie. No.
Oh, they were in denial of it back then. They were like, no, it's psychological thriller or it's a drama.
Yeah. But anyways, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they call him Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird.
Could be more accurate.
I don't know, like, I'm not sure what ethnic origin Jekyll comes from, but that's the only time I've ever heard them pronounce it Jekyll.
Yeah. And I remember when I saw it, God, I saw the MGM video release back in VHS, like as in 1989 or 90. And I remember being totally thrown off when they pronounced it that way. I was like, have we been wrong all these years?
Yeah.
And we didn't have an internet back then. So it was like, well, they said it in this old movie. Maybe that's more accurate. Who knows?
That's true. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in old movies that they pronounce differently. And pronunciations definitely change over the years. I have the Warner Archive Blu-ray of this, which is a you can probably get it on sale once or twice a year. Um, it's probably on Amazon for under 15 bucks. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, like it's a like I said, it's a technical marvel for its time, probably a very groundbreaking movie in that sense, from special effects and the camera techniques and things of that nature. Plus, it's a fun movie, like I said, it's Frederick March is great in both roles. It's got the classic "Don't play God" moral theme to it because things go bad when you do that. If you haven't seen it, it's a classic, so go check it out.
Yeah, it has shots of the formula bubbling up that looks like an ejaculation. So I remember that. So,
You do see some side boob in there.
yeah, that's true.
And there's a scene where this lady of the night, it's kind of implied she might be a hooker, but she's probably just more loose than a
No, she's a
hooker.
hooker. She's a hooker. They just couldn't say it.
Yeah, but there's a scene where like
You're supposed to say it like Kojak. She
She's
was
a
a
hooker.
hooker.
she's a
She's a
hooker.
hooker, Crocker.
But there's a scene where like she's so like Dr. Jekyll saves her from getting beat up by a guy, and he's like checking her out, and she's got bruises on her legs and stuff, and like she strips down to her underwear, and then she's sitting on the edge of the bed with her leg hanging off, and they like just zoom in on her leg swinging back and forth for like a full minute,
Yeah,
and she's got lots of cleavage throughout the whole movie, and like I said, they imply that Hyde rapes her. Like it's not like explicit, but like he attacks her, and then in the next scene, she's like, "Oh, I got all these scratch marks on my back."
yeah, but she loved it. So
So
she's a hooker.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect from a movie from the 30s.
Yeah, well, people have deluded themselves into thinking it was all like Leave It to Beaver type stuff or something. It was all Squaresville, man. And it's like, no, 1930s films. Hunter Dusing actually made an interesting point. He felt like movies actually peaked in the 1930s and they figured out how to do all this stuff. And then we've been in decline ever since. There might be something to it. Because I go
Yeah,
back and I watch stuff from the 30s. I'm like, they seem to have it figured out. They didn't have it figured out for Westerns completely because I think 1950s and widescreen photography really in color really helped with westerns. But as far as everything else, I mean, it's surprising how well paced and how watchable stuff is from the 30s, especially when you like compare it to I don't know something unwatchable like a Marvel Civil War, whatever the hell, or Gauntlet, Infinity Face,
Endgame.
whatever the hell.
Endgame fucking sucks.
Yeah, I can imagine. I couldn't even imagine sitting through that type of stuff. It
Oh
just
my God.
looks like a Jefferson Starship music video from the 80s or something, you know. But like I've seen Prime Cut, like I watched that. I've seen that a few times. Haven't seen the latest Blu-ray. I don't know if I could sit through it again, but it is a pretty sick, sadistic, mean-spirited early 70s action film, which again, they're not going to make anything like that today because they don't want to offend anybody.
And it is a scant 88 minutes.
Yes, very lean, very, very lean and cut to the bone. And nowadays, hell, it'd have to be like 2.5 hours. You'd have to, you'd
Yeah.
have to have childhood flashbacks. You'd have to have all this motivation for I
I
leave
need an
Harvey's
origin
murder.
story. It's like Rob Zombie's cutting
Yeah,
all
you need
these
to know why
movies.
he
I
wears a
need an
white suit.
origin story. Why are
Yes,
they doing these things?
yes. Why does Perry Mason practice law? We need to know what motivates him.
Why are the monsters so weird?
Yes, why, why is Grandpa Dracula like? Why is he walking around in the daytime? I must know. Why does he have a mustache? Why is he fat? I don't know.
All right, John, what would you like to recommend to our audience?
Well, my recommendation would be I'm gonna go with the Bronson Lee Zakarate collection from Severin. I gotta push these kind of indie Blu-ray releases. But what happened was Tadashi Yamashita he had made three karate flicks in Japan. One of them was dubbed in English and released by New Line Cinema over here in the 70s as Bronson Lee Champion, which is not a faithful dubbing edit of the of the original Japanese movie, which is I think just called Zakarate. He was because he looks like Charles Bronson, so they just decided to call him Bronson Lee because he fights like Bruce Lee or whatever the hell.
Mhm.
And but these but they cut it down to a PG, like a PG rating. And but the Severin Blu-ray restores the original Japanese cut, which is very bloody and violent, and has a lot of stuff that we get at an R rating in the US, even in the 70s. But there's also two sequels that were never released over here, which is unfortunate because one of the films has Bolo Young playing a character called Dracula Jack, and it's basically just Bolo wearing a Dracula cape while he fights his face. But these films are like live action comic books, and but of course they're live action comic books in the Japanese tradition. And if you've ever read any Japanese manga from the 70s, it's probably more insane than Marvel Comics or DC Comics or whatever. Because the Japanese, whereas Americans always want a reason Spider-Man is Spider-Man, or a reason Thor is walking around modern America, or whatever, or the Fantastic Four have their powers or whatever. The Japanese don't care. They're just like, here's a weirdo. He's got this power. They're gonna fight. Here we go. And that's kind of what you get when you watch something like the Zakarati collection. But they've what they've done is they've released a Blu-ray set with all three films. It's very reasonably priced, like 20 bucks in some markets. I think I paid like 22 on Amazon for this thing. And it's a great deal. And they do provide the PG rated New Line Cinema cut for anybody who wants to watch it. I am not looking at it anytime soon. I don't care for the dubbing on it or anything. I'm perfectly okay with the Japanese version, which they look fantastic. They're shot in Toei scope. They're, back then, I would say both the Japanese and the Hong Kong studios knew how to make live action comic books long before Americans, who, as far as I'm concerned, still haven't figured it out. So, that'd be my recommendation. Because, hey, on my 75-inch TV, when I'm watching stuff at home, I just want something fun and stupid and really violent.
Well, I have a question for you then. This is very important.
Hmm.
What subgenre does it belong to? Is it Bruce exploitation or is it bronze exploitation?
I would actually say if you're going for the original Japanese versions are Japanese karate films, which was its own thing, and there's no reference to Bruce Lee. There's no reference to Charles Bronson, anything like that. Although they were inspired by Enter the Dragon, strangely enough, the American Bruce Lee movie, because even though the Hong Kong Bruce Lee films, which were the first three or whatever, were popular in Japan, Enter the Dragon was a gigantic hit. And that actually inspired Toei to say, hey, we need to get Sonny Chiba in here and start making some karate films, because he had been making Yakuza films before that. And so they get all their guys who know karate, and they get their screenwriters to write scripts that are all derivative of Enter the Dragon. And one of the screenwriters was interviewed, I think, in the Sister Street Fighter set, and he said, oh, we were in a competition to see who could write the weirdest scripts. So they were actually trying to outdo each other with these crazy
Mm,
things. And they weren't like they weren't like big releases in Japan. They were double feature things. Like,
okay.
you would go to the movies, you might see one Japanese pink film or whatever with, some Yakuza woman, getting topless every 10 minutes or something. And then the second feature would be a super
Nice.
violent Sonny Chiba film, and or karate movie. And so they were like double features that played at the Toei theaters in Japan. And over here, if you watch the Bronson Lee Champion edit, that would technically be Bronson exploitation, I think.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it Lee exploitation because there's really, okay, they use nunchakus. There's some martial arts violence, but I wouldn't really say it's Bruce Lee. There's nothing really about Tadashi that makes me think Bruce Lee. He doesn't fight like him. He's doing Shorin-ryu karate. It's a lot of fast hands and low kicks. It's not really very Bruce-ish.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, and I just watch him as crazy Japanese karate movies, live action manga. Think of it that way.
Okay. Well, let's finally move on to Altered States.
That's why Roger Podacter is dead! He found Captain Winky!